ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the second race of Season 64 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. First race of the season under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Coming off the heels of a thrilling season opener at Talladega, the champ is back. Tim Nofsker takes the first checkered flag of the season, solidifying himself into the playoffs, looking to defend his crown from one season ago. And other drivers now look towards tonight to also point or win their way into a playoff position. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman. And Michael, it's interesting because, there were a whole lot of different storylines coming into this evening, but one thing we didn't really talk about last week, and it's really prevalent this week, is we talked about last week we had a full field, drivers were turned away. The top 35 rule in points is a thing from the very start of the season, and drivers that struggled last week and didn't finish well found themselves in danger of maybe not making it into the show here tonight. Again, almost a half dozen or more drivers turned away this evening. As we progress further on into the season, you don't want to get the season started off horribly.
The season started.
Yeah, because you might end up finding yourself in a situation where you may not race on any given night, and you cannot take that points deficit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. You want to start up here at the front. Well, okay, I take that back. It doesn't really matter where you start here as long as you keep yourself out of trouble and find yourself up at the front at the very end. And a lot of times that's easier said than done, Seth. I mean, we've run a bunch of races on super speedway, so we know, especially on these tracks, especially one coming up on Sunday. But it's hard to place yourself in the right spot. You don't want to take a points deficit. You want to be up there. You want to lead your laps. You want to get your bonus points. But sometimes your strategy comes before anything else.
So Nofsker's really the only one that comes into tonight's race worry-free. Granted, he has to stay in the top 20 in the points for his win to continue to count towards a playoff position. A lot of other drivers had good points-paying nights, but now we've got that one race underneath us. Drivers kind of know where they stand points-wise. What do you think here this evening? Because last week, we talked about it was pretty much a bring home the checkered flag or bring home the steering wheel mentality. Are some drivers still in that mentality, or has everybody kind of reined it back now, and now we're big picture points racing? You there?
I am here. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know you were talking to me.
Ah, well, I guess we'll never know the answer to that question then, because it's time for the starting lineup.
It happens a lot. Don't worry. Don't worry about us, guys. It happens a lot. There's so many times that I just zone out, and it's not intentional.
He's in the danger zone. And we're not playing the song because it's copyright strikes. Okay, well, we're getting copyright strikes. Thanks a lot. All right, starting lineup for tonight. Random qualifying draw puts Denny Carroll on the pole position. Joe DeSpirito, who did not have a good run last week, he's going to line up in second place. Greg Lovell, Bob Dixon in row number 2. Row 3, Dunn LaPrade and Keith Bynum. Craig Hagley, Greg Palmer, they're back in row 4. Rodney Sullins, Chuck McClure are going to complete your top 10. Row 12, wow, that's a long ways back. Row 6, rather. Yeah, I saw 12th position. Row 6 is Billy Elliser and last week's winner, the defending champ Tim Nofsker. Row 7, John Godfrey and Donnie Garrett. Row 8 will find Bobby Farrell, Ron Hagelin. Row 9, Nate Balser back in the field here this evening. Jessica Schultz alongside of him. And complete your top 20 will be Ken Roberts and Jeremy Jeffries. 21st place finds Cy Jones, Doug Hewlick 22nd. Row 12, Robert Breedlove and Randy Waugh. There it is. All right, row 13 is Ulysses Sandoval and Josh Metallic. Grant Wesley going to line up in row 14 with Bob Seminara. Brian Schilling and Mark Pagley will complete the top 30. Back in row 16 will be Bernie Mobbs and Kelly Causey. Row 17, Terry Bombard, Jeffrey Elliott. Then you've got Mike Mangialardi, Richard Martin. Back in row 18, row 19, Glenn Harris, Jason Scheck. And the final row tonight in the full 40-car field will be Brian Rawson and Jeff Cravello. We'll get to the drivers that were not able to make the start here this evening in just a moment, but here we go. Race number 2, ready to go green. Time for Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway to play its part into who might be battling for a championship later on this season.
Nice, good, clean, even start.
Denny Carroll, Greg Lovell on the bottom. They're going to edge ahead the shorter way around the racetrack there through 1 and 2. We know that this is a racetrack where all 3 lanes can work. You see a third line forming there, but once they start getting 3 wide, that outside line, that middle line, they seem to kind of drag each other back, and the inside line gains the advantage. Let's see if that's going to be the case, as for the moment, Despirito stays alongside the 41. Oh, and a late block there, late move by Bob Dixon, trying to get up to that third line. That will stall out Chuck McClure, who gets a little squirrely through the trioval.
And now we're 4 wide.
From Nofsker, and yeah, 4 wide, crossing the start-finish line.
People want to get out of there real quick, because they're still 4 wide back there, and someone's in the wall.
Yeah, it did not take long for these drivers to start getting racy, that is for certain. As soon as the green flag dropped, double wide, 3 wide, and now up to 4 wide. We've settled it back to 3 wide around, so that's about the 8th position or so. But that all helped the bottom. Carroll's clear for the lead. Lovell clear for second. Now LaPrade side by side with Despirito for the 3rd spot. And look at that 3rd lane up there. Nofsker, Donnie Garrett, Ron Hagelin, they're drifting back.
Nate Balzer was unfortunately the one that got put in the wall.
Been a while since we've seen Nate in the field here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Nice to see him. He's that blue JBL, not John Bradshaw Layfield machine JBL. Back there. I mean, be honest, whenever you saw it on a truck or on Christopher Bell's machine, did you not think of John Bradshaw Layfield?
Right, exactly.
Oh, are we going 4 wide again? We were looking. That was Greg Palmer, the red car up there on the outside line behind the 63 of Keith Bynum. Now they're 3 wide. 2 cars. Oh, we got a wreck! Car route in the middle of the pack, and one's up and over back there. Caution's gonna fly.
Oh my gosh, it is Randy Waluigi that's flipping.
And he's still barrel rolling.
That's because he hit the grass.
Took a little time for our camera to pan back there, but that was a pretty long barrel roll ride for the number 21 car.
Imagine for a second, an incredible friend, a really nice, cool friend that happens to co-commentate with you, who gives you this paint schemes for this series and doesn't give me Bob Seminaris.
Well, there actually is a reason for that.
Really?
Yep, those were the last-minute schemes.
Okay. A likely story, but I choose to believe it.
By the way, before we go back and look at that replay, big shout out to Rodney Sullins. We saw a number of cars last week were generic. We weren't able to get into the car file manager. We weren't able to download said cars for them to be seen on the broadcast. Rodney came through, sent those cars over so that they were able to be seen. And as Michael alluded to right there, we had about 6 or 7 cars since he sent the first pack to us that had been uploaded. And we got those here tonight, so that way all the schemes are able to be seen on the broadcast. Michael's just going to have to cry that there's some cars he still can't see. That doesn't sound like crying, but keep working on it. Let's take a look and see what happened here to Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Like Ron Hagelin and the 111. Pushed up a little bit there. Jeremy Jeffries was on his back bumper. The two of them made contact, and man, 21 car gets the worst of it. Also saw the Terry Labonte throwback back there of Jason Scheck. There he is, just now making his way through the 13 car. Let's look a little bit further up at the 111 of Ron Hagelin. Watch the one of Jeremy Jeffries, how he kind of shades a little bit lower going through the turn than the 111. That's going to make the 1 have a shorter distance and close up quickly on the back bumper of Hagelin and hooks him around. Hagelin did a great job, though, of keeping that thing going in the right direction despite getting turned around. I believe for the most part, with the exception of the 13, I believe that the 21 was really the only one involved in that entire incident, which in and of itself is amazing. Here's a look at Jason Scheck, who was back behind this.
Jason Scheck. Check mark.
Oh, he gets hit from behind by Nate Balser as Scheck checked up. And that brings out the caution for the first time here this evening. Like a mixed bag in terms of strategy with this early yellow. Those 15 drivers elected to stay out, from race leader Denny Carroll back to Jeff Crivello.
For now, though.
For now, yeah, we could see some drivers dive onto pit lane here in these
next coming
couple of pacing laps remaining. A lot of drivers up here throwing in the clutch. Billy Ellis, they're looking like he's coming in. Hagley, John Godfrey. Let's see if they're trying to fake out the rest of the field or if they commit. Nope, they are indeed committing to come down pit road. Jeremy Jeffries back there as well. About 4 cars up inside of the top 10 came down pit road. Might have been a couple of others back in the top 15. So probably if the lights go out here, it'd be about 8-9 drivers that elected to stay out here for this restart. That is if we get the 1 to green, which we do not. So they'll have another lap to think about whether they want to come to pit road or if they want to keep the track position.
It's time for some non-copyrighted product placement.
Seltzer water.
Nope.
It's like water, but bubbly.
Bublé.
Bublé. Michael Bublé?
Yep. Nah, it's Silver Coke.
That could mean 2 things.
Which one? Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
Well, I'm assuming it would be the beer that's not alcoholic.
Yes,
And
actually it
it's
is.
what a dog does. Am I doing a good job of not getting us?
It's not bark.
Getting us. It's not bark. It's what a dog does, plural. Is that better?
Does the Q make the K sound? Because that's not what it does.
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
In
Well, okay, maybe it does. I always said it as a G, I guess.
I mean, what's the opposite of a king?
Rough?
No. Wow. All right. Well, now that we've established that we have no chemistry whatsoever.
We got no brain cells.
No brain cells.
No,
between the 2 of us, we have 1 brain cell.
Between the 2 of us, we have half a brain cell.
And because we only have half a brain cell,
between
I just realized I didn't name off the drivers that failed to qualify. So let me do that right now.
Wow.
We had a total of 7 drivers that did not make the field here tonight, as we have had 2 massive showings in the last 2 weeks for the first 2 races of the season. Those drivers that failed to qualify were Javier Negron, Brian Lovell, Pat McCarsky, Chris Elliott, Rod Weston, Garland Oakes, and Graham McDonald. And this kind of goes back to the point that I was talking about at the beginning of the broadcast, where drivers that didn't finish well last week found themselves below the 35th position in the point standings, which meant tonight they had to qualify their way in on speed. And some big names were down there too. Bob Seminara, Rodney Sullins, Jeffrey Elliott, Joe DeSpirito. They all had to qualify their way into tonight's event on speed. They could not rely on points locking them in.
Couple of good mainstay names as well in that list.
Oh yeah. Took about a half a lap to go, so let's give you a look after the season opener of what your current playoff standings would look like, with drivers positioned up inside the top 12 in the point standings. Tim Nosker, obviously the points leader after his victory last week. Grant Wesley currently 2nd. Mark Paglia in 3rd. Brian Schilling 4th. Chuck McClure in 5th. Then Greg Palmer, Donnie Garrett, Jeremy Jeffries, Denny Carroll, Craig Hagley. That's the top 10. The last 2 drivers currently in on points would be Terry Bombard and Richard Martin. But since we only had 1 race under our belts, it is super close for all the drivers down below. 13th on down through 20th is only 10 points beneath that 12th in the standings cut line. And if we continue to have this trend of full 40-car fields, that's a lot of points on the table every single week. And you make those moves gain that ground early on in the season, drivers can jump up double digits in the point standings in just one event.
Absolutely. Pace car lights are off.
Yes, they are. So we'll get ready to go back green. Like the 77 of Donnie Garrett is currently scored a lap down. Not sure the reasoning of that. We'll try and follow up, find out what happened to him. He was not involved in that caution. The 39 of the 40 cars running will be on the lead lap here for this restart. Denny Carroll, who has led all 6 and about to be 7 of the first laps here tonight, gets us back under the green flag. Speaking of Donnie, appreciate him chiming in our YouTube chat. Jeff Supta, also in our YouTube chat here tonight. How you doing, Jeff? Saw the 21 back there of Randy Waugh up in that third lane. After that tumble, looks like he may be off the pace for the remainder of this one. That car not able to get up to speed. As Cy Jones now the drafting help on the bottom for Denny Carroll. Bob Seminara behind him. Top side, it's Greg Lovell, Robert Breedlove, Jeffrey Elliott. 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back through about the top 20. 3 wide. Looked like that might be the 82 of Craig Hagley around the 25th position. Trying to make something happen. He's got some help up there as well. Let's see what kind of forward progress they can make. Obviously, other drivers will see that momentum. They'll start moving up, and they're going to start already. That's Ken Roberts, the Mountain Dew number 55, moving up there to the third lane. I believe Kelly Causey, the bright yellow 00, right behind him. Mark Paglia coming off that third place finish last week. He's now up in that third lane also. Or actually, correction, Paglia finished 4th last week. He's 3rd in points because he led a lap. The bonus point moving him up 1 position higher than Brian Schilling, who finished 3rd.
Car's getting a little more racy at the front, Seth. Look at the second place driver. That's the 931.
Robert Breedlove, who, if I'm not mistaken, last week was not helped by the random qualifying draw. He started out back in dead last. Fared a little bit better this week. He rolled off the grid 23rd, but stayed out there under that caution, gained the track position. Now he's up here inside of the top 2. Dunlap Pratt, he was leading that third line. He then moved to the middle. He's starting to go backwards along with Bobby Farrell and Josh Metallic. Ooh, and almost contact back there. I think that was Craig Hagley and Brian Rawson through the tri-oval. They were almost 4 wide again. Well, Michael, unfortunately, you're only going to get to be able to say it one more time here tonight because the 21 of Randy Waugh,
Luigi,
is out of the race. Saw him off the pace there on the restart after taking the tumble over in the middle of 3 and 4. And the 21 will finish 40th place here tonight. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he came into this race. Yeah, he was the last driver locked into the field on points, 35th in the standings. He will undoubtedly drop below that cut line here tonight. And next week at Talladega, he will more than likely, if there are more than 40 drivers that show up, he'll have to qualify his way in on speed.
A couple cars just kind of clipped the apron coming through the tri-oval there.
Bob Seminara now leading the second lane, along with Joe DeSpirito. Yeah, we talked about a lot. You mentioned a lot of those mainstay driver names that were down below the cut line. This is an opportunity for them here tonight to be able to gain points, get above said cut line, and 2 of them are on that outside line there, the 712 and the 24. Both came into this race in 36th and 39th, respectively, in overall standings after the first race of the season. Donnie Garrett is still 1 lap down as well.
I'm riding on board somebody who is a little bit further back in the pack, so she sees all of the action that's happening right now. That's the number 9 Hershey's Cookies and Cream sponsored car, Jessica Shelton.
Yeah, we got him double wide back, what, about 12, 13, 14 rows deep. And then there's a little trail of cars single file just kind of riding back there, seeing what's happening up at the front of the field. A couple of cars squirrely in the middle of the pack. Top 5 in that middle line have been able to clear the inside line. So until that third lane forms, the advantage is back in the second groove. Seminara back to Kelly Causey, maybe Mark Paglia, going to be clear of the inside line, which is now being led by the 880, the Texaco Haviland machine of Greg Lovell. Couple cars there. One on that inside line got tight, was pushing up off the corner. One got loose and had his left side tires down on the yellow line.
Well,
and
we
that
know
is
how that
losing
usually
them
works.
momentum.
We know how that usually works here, Seth, especially here in the RTD Talladega.
Yep.
You can't really stay on the inside lane off the corner, and that's why the outside lane is usually the better lane to be in.
Well, you can stay in the throttle off the corner. If there's a car to your outside, they probably won't appreciate it very much because you're probably going to muscle them out of the way. So there is a choice.
I mean, yeah, there's a choice, but, you know, it depends on how you want to race.
Yeah. Now, Bob Seminara, who was a multi-time winner last season, 3 victories, as a matter of fact, last year that led all drivers out in front. Now, bear in mind, though, we've got a mixture of drivers inside of our top 16 that did not come to pit road under that first caution. Seminara is one of them. Greg Lovell, back there is another. Robert Breedlove, Denny Carroll, Cy Jones, all up here inside of the top 16. They have not been to pit road. If we continue to trend green, they're going to have to come to pit lane more than likely altogether. The rest of the field will be able to go another 6-7 laps before they'd have to come onto pit road. So you'd have to think those half dozen drivers, they were banking on seeing another yellow flag come out to be able to put them back on the same page as everybody else. They still have an opportunity for that right now, but as these laps continue to tick away, it is looking rather bleak for them that they might be coming down pit road with a rather small pack and not with the lead group.
How fitting is it that the only unsponsored car I see is leading this race?
Is leading this race? Hey, what was it last week? Tim Nofsker ended up winning the race, second and third place, all unsponsored race cars, if I recall correctly.
I think so, yeah.
There's something in there. I don't know what that is. I said last week that maybe everybody was going to show up with unsponsored generic cars. Apparently that wasn't. Apparently I'm not a trendsetter. Nobody listened about that. You don't want a generic car. You want something that's going to look flashy out under the lights. Now, there isn't much in it in terms of the difference of the distance that the drivers that didn't pit and the drivers that did pit can go. You have to wonder if some of these drivers that are mere laps away from having to dive onto pit lane, if they've made some deals with some teammates, drivers that they're used to working with, saying, hey, look, I'm going to have to come to pit road. Are you willing to take a little bit of a penalty here, come down pit road with me, and that way we have a bigger pack when we come off of pit lane and be able to try and stay on the lead lap once everything cycles around. I mean, I'm looking at that 24 of Joe DeSpirito right behind Bob Seminara. The Florida gang, we see them work together all the time, but one of them is 6 laps better on fuel than the other.
I don't see that really happening.
No?
Unless they've got a big enough group. Like I'm sorry, you're out of luck here. You should have pit when you should have pit under the caution if you wanted to stay on stay with us.
And we've just had another retiree. Jessica Shelton in the 9 has just retired from the race. And I'm not sure what happened there.
I was just riding on board with her. That's weird. I heard the whisper, like many windy whispers. She just pulled out of line. And she came down pit road and left.
I wondered if there was an engine failure, but apparently it doesn't sound like that's the case. So
Might
up
have
right
had
there for Jess. Didn't
might have had
fare
some
well
type of
last week, finished
emergency.
25th.
Might have had some type of an emergency pop
Might
up.
have. So she's going to, oh, well, you get to say it again. She's going to join Randy Waugh
Luigi.
back in the garage area. They'll finish 39th and 40th, leaving us 38 drivers still running. 37 of them on the lead lap. Let's look and see if we can find the 77 of Donnie Garrett. There he is. So he is running, he is up to speed, but he is a lap down. I'm almost wondering if maybe he might have fallen out of the server and come back in and lost a lap under caution and now is waiting for potentially another caution to be able to get back on the lead lap. He's the only driver one lap down, so he'd be the only driver eligible as the recipient of the free pass, but at least he is up to speed in this lead pack, so if he does get that lap back, he will be back in the hunt for this thing and apparently has a car capable of doing so. So now, I believe in the next 2 laps, maybe this next lap time, let's try that one again. This next time by, Seminary, I think, is going to have to come to pit road. Because he's led as well the entire of this run since we went back green, so he's been using up more fuel even at that point in time. So I think he's going to have to come to pit road right here, if not the next lap. And I think I'm seeing some radio chatter lighting up there. I think the 712 is going to be hitting pit road. Let's see if some of those others, like the 880, the 56, the 41, if they're going to be having to come to pit road this time as well.
Yep, I guess we're about to find out. Yep, you see some of them going high.
Yep, and you were correct. 24 is not going to come down pit road with the 712 as he shades up to the middle. And here come all the drivers pit road that hadn't pitted. Bernie Mobbs is also coming in. Bob Dixon. Man, Cy Jones. He got it woed down. It was a ride, but he got it woed down.
He got it there.
Bob Dixon's in as well. Nate Balser, I believe a few of those drivers, Dixon, Mobbs, and Balser, I think they actually had been to pit road previously. They didn't have to pit right there, but they elected they would. Maybe come down a less congested pit road than there will be in the next few laps. And we've actually seen as well that, you know, you can get 5, 6, 7 cars lined up. You can produce just as much, if not more speed than a pack of 20, 25 that are running double wide, 3 wide. So, you know, that might be a pretty favorable size pack of cars that came to pit road there. I think there were about 8 of them. Cy Jones going to go a lap down, though, there in the 7. And there's the rest of those drivers that pit. They're about to go a lap down here. Now, those drivers that were hoping for a quick caution, now they're hoping that they don't see a yellow flag. They want this thing to run all the way through. That way they can get their lap back and maybe cycle back into the lead pack. Question now is how long until all the rest of these drivers have to hit pit road. We went back green, I believe it was at the completion of lap 7 on to lap 8. So we're looking somewhere around, Robert Breedlove with a speeding penalty. He's coming back down that 931. But we're looking about the next, I'd say, 3 or 4 laps, and everybody else is going to have to duck onto pit road for their first green flag pit stop of the season, by the way. They did not make a green flag pit stop last week in the season opener at Talladega.
Nope, not at all.
And apparently, that plagued the 931, who is the first driver to receive a speeding penalty under green here this season. He'd already gone a lap down. He'll lose a lot more ground there, and he's definitely going to need a caution to be able to get back to this thing. Might need a couple of cautions depending on how things shake out when the pit stop cycle concludes. Couple drivers, top of your screen, just headed to pit road. I believe one of them was Doug Kulik in the 23, Keith Bynum in the 63. Coming to pit road together. See if anybody else came down with him. Yep, some others did. Billy Elliser, Richard Martin, Ron Hagelin, all on pit road this time. 5 drivers at the completion of lap 24. And with this pit stop cycle, we start to see more drivers migrate up towards the front of the field. Greg Palmer is now up to 2nd place. Causey up to 4th. Ulysses Sandoval now up in the top 10, fighting for 7th. Josh Metallic as well, just inside the top 10, around 9th. And here come the leaders. It's going to be a big pit. Oh, we reckon. Grant Wesley with contact from Bernie Mobbs. Caution's going to fly.
I
John
saw that.
Godfrey as well.
Oh, there's a wreck coming off of pit road. Keith Bynum spins. Oh, Seth, and this happened right in the process of pit stops, too.
Yes, it did.
We're going to see a lot of lap down cars.
A lot of lap down cars, a lot of wave around cars, I think. And as well, I'm pretty sure, yeah, watching the 39 of Josh Metallic, all these drivers that hit pit road with the caution coming out, they have to pass through pit lane. They can't stop in their pit stalls because pit road, in essence, is closed with the timing of that caution flying. So if they were close on fuel, they better throw in the clutch in preparation for this pacing lap before pit road is eventually going to be open. Scoring has Brian Rawson as the leader. There he is. I think he was very close on fuel, and he was clutching the whole way. He's waiting for the pace car to pick him up. But he'll get himself a lap led there, and all these drivers that hadn't pit yet, this is going to help them in terms of track position. Looking back to see, I think that group with Hewlick, Martin, Bynum, I think they all stayed on the tail end of the lead lap. They may be the ones to cycle up to the front if they stay out when all the rest of these drivers come to pit road. But for the moment, let's go and take a look at what brought out the caution here. And I think, as we look back at it, I think you're going to see when we had everybody indicating they were coming to pit road, the 96 of Ulysses Sandoval does not get all the way down below the yellow line. And Grant Wesley, who I believe was planning to stay out, he almost gets into the back of him, gets checked up, and I think you'll then see the 31 of Bernie Mobbs tag the 88. Well, actually, I think Grant was going to come to pit road as well, and Ulysses slowed, Grant slowed, both of them were up on the racing surface, and Bernie Mobbs, who had already been to pit road, had nowhere to go. Take another look from our helicopter cam.
We have a helicopter?
We do. How we afforded it? I don't know. Yeah, it's looks like Ulysses checked up for Paglia. And then Grant had to check up for Ulysses, and Bernie Mobbs, he was up to speed. He had already pit. And he wasn't able to check up in time. John Godfrey, who was further back, also got involved in this. See if we can find out how he was collected. Oh, he's on the brakes. Seeing Bernie Mobbs spinning ahead of him, just couldn't woe the thing down in time. Gonna make some contact with the front end of his car, but I don't think that's gonna be enough to really hinder him. That was a relatively light tap as wrecks at a super speedway go. But that brings out the yellow. That's a league admin's nightmare right there, because then you gotta sort it all out, figure out who's gonna be on the lead lap, who's gotta take the wave around. Tim Nofsker is going to get himself a lap led, so back-to-back weeks that he'll have netted a bonus point. And now he'll hit pit road. Terry Bombard also stayed out. Grant Wesley. Grant's going to stay out this time. He'll get himself a lap led. Grant led number of laps last week, came up just about half a car length short of picking up his first win of the season. And then if you look behind him, that group I was talking about that had just gotten their pit stops completed when that caution came out and stayed in the tail end of the lead lap, Doug Hewlick, Richard Martin, Ron Hagelin, Greg Lovell, Brian Rawson. That's going to be your top 5 when we go back green. So Doug Hewlick, who made the strategy call, come to pit lane a little sooner than everybody else, had some friends that came down with him. The timing of this caution is going to pan out big for him, and he will more than likely be the one that will lead us to green. With that being said, looking at drivers that would be eligible to take the wave around, I believe that, well, we'll have to actually officially wait for scoring because Billy Ellis or Jeffrey Elliott are currently on the tail end of the lead lap, but they might have been the lucky dogs. If that's the case, then they're going to be the only two that will get back in the lead lap, and we'll have over a half dozen drivers who will be one down, including Nate Balser, Bob Dixon, Denny Carroll, Donnie Garrett, Robert Breedlove, Bernie Mops. And there's the answer to the question right there. There is the 143 of Dixon, the 41 of Denny Carroll. They're coming around, so that means they are actually going to get the lucky dog. What is going on here?
I see the JBL car dropping to the back.
Yeah, and
I see a 7-Eleven dropping to the back as well.
the 88's down the apron.
I think he's just letting cars go by.
He could be.
Either that or he's out of gas. He could very well be out of gas. He's going only 30 miles an hour and slowing.
He's in neutral.
Probably out of gas.
How do you run out of gas?
Maybe he didn't pit when the caution came out?
Well, he didn't, but
That's exactly what I'm telling you right now. Oh yeah, his car is off unless he's blown up. I don't see any smoke, but yeah, his car is off.
still rolling. So the only thing I can think is Grant was in the middle of the incident. He may have claimed responsibility for it. I thought that the rule was you pit the second time by in speed. He stayed out an extra lap past that, though. So yeah, he may actually have run out of fuel trying to go a little bit further here to serve the penalty one lap later than he probably should have, and he is going to barely make it to his pit stall. The question is, though, are they going to be able to get him fueled up before we go green? Field right now, the leaders are halfway down the back straightaway. You also saw all the wave around cars trying to hurry up to catch up to the tail end of the field before we get back going. Well, we got a chance here. Checking in the YouTube chat. Benjamin Snyder saying iconic schemes. Definitely iconic schemes. A lot of throwback schemes in this field here. Brian Lovell with a wow. Jeff Supta says every car had a red flag on pit entry. Yeah, the time of that yellow was not good for them. O'Brien says he was locked in 23rd in points but didn't want to race. Okay, so that was why Brian was one of the DNQs. And then Milt Surratt. Graphics looking much better with the new computer. Shout out to our producer, to our boss, Matthew Rodriguez, for that. Glad the graphics look good here this evening. All right, let's rack them up. Get ready to do it again. We're nearing the halfway point this evening. Doug Hewlick inherits the lead off of a great strategy call with the time of the yellow. Former champ Richard Martin to his outside. Green flag back in the air. We'll wait till they cross the line to officially know how many drivers are on the lead lap after the combination of lucky dogs and wave arounds. And if my calculations are correct,
When
these
this baby
drivers,
hits 88 miles per hour.
well, they've already crossed 88 miles per hour. They're up to 188 miles per hour. So they're going back to the forward to the future past.
Don't mess up my brain. You already know our combined brain cells, the chicken from Moana,
Are full of Spain.
My brain is full of Spain. I've got 9.5 spiders in my brain.
You went to see Sonic. Did you go to see Moana too?
Nope.
I'm waiting for it to, like, be able to be streamed. But I want to see it.
Probably could on 123 Movies.
Nope, not yet. 3 wide. Here comes Bob Seminara. That's for third, now maybe second. Richard Martin in the middle, Hagelin on the bottom. Doug Kulik's going to have some company for this race lead here in just a moment as we are 3 by 3 by 3, about 8 rows, maybe 9 rows deep, all the way back there. And these drivers cannot make it on fuel. They will have to pit at least 2 more times unless they can save about 2 laps of fuel per run, which that is possible. But the way they're racing, rather unlikely.
Three wide again, the third lane on the top side. Seth going to get the most advantage here.
Couple of updates. We have 33 drivers on the lead lap, 5 drivers 1 lap down fighting for the 2 lucky dog positions. And I mentioned about the fact that how long it took for Grant Wesley to crawl to his pit stall, whether he'd be able to catch back up to the field before they went green. Answer was no. He is right now over 11 seconds back, and he's hoping that something happens up here for him to be able to catch back up. But that call to go the extra lap of pacing and running out of fuel may end up costing him in the long run if we continue to trend green. And I mentioned about the fact, Michael, that, early on in the season, you don't have a great finishing result. The following week, you get a top 5 and you jump up double digits in the points. Well, on the flip side, you have a great season opener, and then you finish down outside of the top 20, top 25 the following week, you can plummet double digits in the point standings.
Yeah, and that's just exactly how Talladega works. Could be good, could be bad.
These cars are dancing around. They look nervous. A lot of weaving race cars here with the checkups, trying to give each other room in these 3 wide formations. An inside line prevailing now with the 3 wide around 6th, 7th place. Hewlett clear. Hagelin to second, DeSpirito, Bobby Farrell, Richard Martin. Now your top 5, Tim Nofsker, last week's winner. He'd love to start out the season with not 1 but 2 trips to victory lane, looking to defend his championship crown, and now he'll clear into the 6th position. Behind him is Donnie Garrett. He is still 1 lap down, along with the car behind him, Bernie Mobbs, but they are the 2 lucky dog cars as things currently run. They're battling the blue and yellow number 7 Sunoco machine just behind them on the inside line of Cy Jones for the free pass. Robert Breedlove and Nate Balser are the other 2 drivers that are currently off the lead lap. Breedlove went a lap down, having to serve the black flag penalty under green flag pit stop cycle. And Nate Balser right now at the tail end of this lead pack as things currently run. Here's Chuck McClure in the 17, making a move up to the top side. He's got some help from Bob Seminara, Mark Paglia, Brian Schilling, now the caboose on the train, and Tim Nofsker jumps up to become the engine as he'll now battle Garrett for 5th. McClure coming off a top 5 run last week in 5th. And Bobby Farrell, that Petty Blue 92, good run here this evening. Another driver who benefited from the time in the yellow, had already made his pit stop. He's now into the 4th position. Here comes the top. Nofsker leading the charge.
Trying to, anyways. They're not that quite formed up yet.
Well, they don't have that 3rd line to driver's right. So that's one advantage they have here in trying to get the lead from the inside line. That 3rd lane is formed back there, though. That's Rodney Sullins leading it, but that's back around the 15th position. Ron Hagelin really loose on the entry to turn 1 there, pushed up the track. That's going to whoa up that inside line just a touch. as he lost about a car length to Hewlick. Now he's going to come back, but that outside line is very well formed, bumper to bumper. Oh, Hagelin. I don't know if that was a late bump from the 24. Oh, we're going to wreck in the back. Brian Rawson around.
Couple of them
John
around, yep.
Godfrey. Oh, big hit, Nate Balser.
And guess who this is going to benefit?
The Lucky Dogs? Oh, and Grant Wesley. That's who you're talking about.
Wow, that took you long enough.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who you were talking about at first.
Mr. Moana Chicken over here.
Can't even pronounce his actual name? How dare you, sir?
I don't watch that, so I have no idea.
What do you say when you try to get somebody's attention?
Okay.
Huh?
I said, Gog?
No.
No, hold on, wait. Ask me again.
No, we're going to take a look at the replay
No,
instead.
ask me again.
No, we're going to take a look at the replay.
Ask me again.
We're going to take a look at the replay.
Ask me again.
You again?
Ask the question again.
I just did. You said ask me again, so I asked you again.
I hate you.
Anyway, replay time.
Ask the question again, please.
Brian Rawson with contact from Cy Jones.
You want to talk about not having chemistry? Ask the dang question again, darn it.
I never took chemistry.
Okay, what do I say to get people's attention? I walk up to them and go, Backstreet Boys?
Michael is an Arctic turn, confirmed.
I don't think anyone's going to get that reference.
Nope. Greg Lovell, Jason Scheck, Billy Elliser also involved in this. A pretty good shot right there. Balser into John Godfrey. Everybody, for the most part, tried to dive to the apron to avoid. And then when Rawson and Greg Lovell got together, shot them down into that path. And that's going to bring out the caution for the third time here this evening. And as Michael alluded to, and I completely missed the indicator, this does help Grant Wesley now. Grant was 30 seconds back the time that yellow flew. And I believe Donnie Garrett, Bernie Mobbs are going to be the lucky dog drivers here as well. So very fortunate for them. Jason Scheck, who was involved in that incident, he's going to be out of the race. Joining Jessica Shelton and Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Scheck will get credit for 38th position here tonight. And now these drivers will be able to make it the rest of the way on one more pit stop. It'll make things interesting on when that pit stop will be if we see this green to the checkers.
I'm going to step away to the little commentator's room. I'll be right back.
Well, you know what? We're going to step away entirely here because
you
we're
should
going to...
have said that before I said that.
Well, you know, the chemistry problem. It's a thing.
What's happened to us?
I don't know.
One season we're fantastic. The next season we're struggling.
It's 64 seasons of trying, 64 seasons of frustration.
FRN are finally on the same page.
Well, we're going to step aside for an FRN race break as things sort themselves out here under our third caution of the night. And we'll be back here for the restart as we close in on less than 30 laps to go this evening at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Lights out on the pace car. We're getting ready to go back green for our third restart of the night. You saw there during our FRN race break, Bernie Mobbs, Donnie Garrett, the recipients of the Lucky Dog. So we will have 34 drivers on the lead lap of 36 remaining. During these pace laps, Nate Balser brought his number 79 to pit road and has retired from the race. Mechanical failure for him. We're being told engine gearbox, the diagnosis on his machine, so he'll get credited for 37th here tonight. One of 4 drivers back in the garage area. But up front, looking for 2 in a row. Tim Nofsker, the defending champion, getting ready to put us back under the green. Joe DeSpirito will line up to his outside. Chuck McClure lines up third. Bob Seminare in fourth. Brian Schilling will complete the top 5. Then it's Doug Kulik, Bobby Farrell, Rodney Sullins, Mark Paglia, and Jeremy Jeffries. That's going to be the top 10 as we get ready to go back green. They have to come to pit road at least one more time in this race. Target lap probably going to be somewhere around lap 60, which would be around less than 7 laps to go. So make things very interesting in the closing stages. As through the trial will they come. Nofsker waiting on the flagman.
I'm going to have to do a restart, Seth. My game crashed.
Oh, okay.
So I will be right back.
Alrighty, 10-4. Bring flag back
User
in the
disconnected
air.
from your channel.
Lap 41 completed. Lap 42 goes up on the board. 25 laps remaining here in the second race of the season. Win and you're in format. If anybody not named Tim Nofsker goes to victory lane tonight, they would join Nofsker in the playoffs, provided they stay in the top 20 in overall points at the conclusion of the regular season. There are only 2 drivers a lap down right now, that being Robert Breedlove and Cy Jones. So they don't really have to race with anybody for the free pass position currently, and they would love to see another yellow not be involved in the wreck to be able to put themselves back on the lead lap. Still plenty of time for a driver to get the lucky dog, get back in the lead lap, and work their way back up to the front of the field. As these drivers, as soon as the green is dropped at the initial start of the race and every one of our restarts, they have gotten very, very racy. Double wide, 3 wide. Richard Martin getting shuffled out there in the 43. Billy Elliser, Denny Carroll. Well, now Elliser moves to the middle, but Denny Carroll, Keith Bynum back there. They're starting to make a charge in that third lane. I don't know if it's the beginning of the season here. Drivers looking for that golden ticket into the playoffs, but it just seems like here tonight, as opposed to some of the races we had here at this venue during the playoffs at the close of last season, it looks like these drivers are a lot more aggressive. The energy, the intensity in the field just visually looks like it's ramped up quite a bit here this evening. As we draw closer to the end of this race, we're starting to see the garage area filling up more and more. Another driver just moments ago peeled off of the racetrack, came to pit road, made the hard left-hand turn to the garage area. That would be John Godfrey, who was involved in the last caution after he took that hit from Nate Balser. And he's going to get credited for 36th place position here tonight. Nothing. We've been green. We tried 3 wide, and we're going to try 3 wide again. Rodney Sullins now going to jump up there. Jeremy Jeffries, Jeffrey Elliott, Grant Wesley, they all seem to be ready for that move. All in formation up to the third lane, trying to see if they can work their way up to the front. Well, next week going to be a lot of super speedway racing here on the Flatout Racing Network. Wednesday night, we're going to be covering pole day qualifying for the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series at Daytona. Duels will be the following week. And of course, next Thursday night, we're back here with the RTG Talladega Challenge Series drivers, as they'll be heading back to Talladega Super Speedway for the second time this season. And we always like to give a shout out as well to all our broadcast colleagues in the NR 2003 community across YouTube. And if I'm not mistaken, Michael, and I'll let you kind of take the reins on this one, I believe our buddy Andrew Miller over at PRN, he's going to be going live with a broadcast at another super speedway this Sunday night.
Yes, it's going to be actually at Talladega. Okay. Well, I guess I could say it'll either be Sunday night or it'll be postponed because there's something going on at my real job that might require me to have to work on Sunday night. But if
they're saying that there's rain in the area,
possible.
Well, my answer to you is that's what they created rain tires for.
I mean, if somebody else wants to host it.
Okay, so possibly a broadcast Sunday night over on Top Dragster Network. You can find Andrew over at Top Dragster on YouTube. As that inside line has completely dominated the other two lanes now. Sullins, Jeffries, who were trying to get that third line going, they have lost a ton of ground. Jeffrey Elliott's gotten put into the middle. This is back now around the 16th, 17th position. That third lane had gotten themselves up to around 10th before all of a sudden the parachute was engaged and they are free falling. But some other drivers have utilized that inside line to gain track position. Dunn LaPrade right there in that yellow and red 74. Now up to 12th, just in front of him, Mike Mangialardi in the Napa 29. Glenn Harris right now, the last driver in the top 10, the Krispy Kreme number 8.
Krispy Kreme.
And Ulysses Sandoval is now up in the 8th position.
And Oval, stop saying it wrong.
The man who got stuck behind me like 3 times tonight in a previous league race, and I nearly murdered him. Fortunately, I didn't. We managed to finish in, what was it? I think it was 3rd and 4th, so.
Darn, such a shame. I mean, absolutely fantastic.
A shame that I finished 3rd, or a shame that I didn't die?
A shame that he didn't die.
Oh. Well, you know what? You know what Ulysses would tell you?
What?
He would say, man, you gotta chill.
Yep, that's exactly what you say.
Oh, spinner in the back!
I thought I heard something.
Greg Palmer, Brian Rawson, and this may bring out a yellow.
Nope, nothing yet.
Not yet. See the flag stand there, no caution, no lights on the pace car.
I think they got it back going.
They are rolling.
No caution.
The reason why I thought there might be a caution, yes, there was no oncoming traffic when they came back up the racing surface, but the 6 was pointed in the correct direction. So I didn't know if they would read him as potential oncoming traffic with the 22 sideways in front of him. But as you can see, lights are still green all the way around the track. Contact back there. Richard Martin bouncing off the door of Doug Hewlick. That was very nearly the yellow. And there you see the lingering smoke off of turn 4 where the 22 and the 6 got together. Goes without saying, if we were to have a caution now between here and the end of the race, everybody be on pit road because they could make it the rest of the way. I believe we are about 8 laps out from when these drivers would absolutely have to dive to pit road. And they would more than likely have to take on a can of fuel. They could maybe risk it with a half can, but that only gives them 5 laps. And I think they're going to have to pit somewhere around 6 laps to go. So I think they're going to have to bite the bullet and take on a can of fuel, which is more time on pit road than I think they would like to spend. Someone might be gutsy and go with the half can, maybe try and catch a quick yellow, end this thing under caution, but that's risk reward right there. Speaking of risk reward, remember when Grant Wesley decided to stay out that extra lap under caution, ran out of fuel, and didn't restart in the lead pack? He's up here now with the aid of that caution inside of the top 15. Last time by was scored in 13th place, so he's back in the hunt.
We'll see what he can do.
In your top 5 right now, 4 of those drivers finished in the top 5 last week. Nofsker won. Schilling, who's in 3rd, finished 3rd. Paglia, who's in 5th, finished 4th. And of course, Nofsker ended up winning the race.
Imagine if he goes 2-0.
It's possible. We've had it happen before.
Are we going to see the start of a streak?
Well, I mean, drivers will tell you it's tough enough just to win one of these races during the course of a season, but to do it back to back, if I remember correctly, I don't know, I can't recall what number season it was, but we have had a driver win the first 2 races of the season. It was Keith Hughes in his rookie season, as a matter of fact, who ended up winning the first 2 races of the season, locked himself into the playoffs. But that was a number of seasons ago. It's been a while since that's happened, and we'll see if Nofsker maybe can be the most recent driver to pull off that feat. But bear in mind as well, pit road still may have a part to play in all this.
Yeah,
We ended up having that caution come out right in the middle of green flag pit stops. It was helpful to some, a detriment to others.
Yeah, we still got, about 13 laps to go?
Yep. About maybe 7 laps out from when these drivers will have to come to pit road. I mean, some drivers have not even yet made a green flag pit stop this season. Those that came to pit road when that caution came out had to pass through their pit stalls. They couldn't stop. Update on those 2 drivers that had the spin off of turn 4. Brian Rawson has gone a lap down. I believe he made a pit stop. Greg Palmer is still on the tail end of the lead lap. Donnie Garrett lost the pack. Right now, those 2, I believe, are running together in 31st and 32nd. I don't know if the 77 maybe dropped back for the 22 to try and keep him on the lead lap if we were to get a yellow. But you saw as the field was thundering off of turn 2, that duo are on the same straightaway now as the race leaders. They were, I believe, almost going into turn 3, so they are more than half a lap down. And here we go. Pit road. Going to be a busy place. Nofsker, McClure, Schilling, Farrell, Metallic, Paglia, Hewlick, Sandoval, Harris, Hagelin, and Jones all on pit road. They're coming to pit lane at 10 to go. They know they're going to have to take on a can of fuel, so they're deciding to pit right when the window opens to take on that full can. If we end up having the same scenario where a caution comes out in the middle of pit stops, I like that call to be some of the first ones onto pit lane, because you would more than likely cycle to the front once we get ready for the restart. Let's see if anybody comes to pit road this time. Robert Breedlove's coming in. Denny Carroll further back there. Keith Bynum as well. I think there were another couple of drivers behind them. Oh, more than a couple. Greg Lovell is in. Bob Dixon, Billy Elliser, and Bernie Mobbs. These are all the drivers that just came to pit road. They're all trying to get themselves organized up here for when everything cycles around. Richard Martin going to lead that lap. Got a lot of drivers that have led at least one lap here this evening. Stocking up that bonus point. Nofsker has led the most at 17. As the 43 got down the apron there, might be getting ready to pit. And indeed he is. Oh, we're going to be 3 wide coming onto pit road. Rodney Sellens very aggressive on the entry to pit lane. Did he get it woe down? Grant Wesley, DeSpirito, Roberts, Elliott, Causey. Oh, Terry Bombard overshoots his pit stall. Almost slid into the back of Causey. Richard Martin overshot. Crivello spins on pit road entry. Drivers realizing this is the money stop, and a number of them making some mistakes. I believe Craig Hagley is now the race leader. Let's find the 82. There he is. He and I believe Mike Mangialardi have stayed out an extra lap. And they will undoubtedly be on pit road this time by. And then we'll try and figure out where the race lead is going to cycle to. Here comes the 82 and the 029. Somebody up ahead. Oh, wait. Did we just have some drivers that sped? Oh, I think we had a number of drivers that sped. 63 of Bynum, the 31 of Bernie Mobbs, the 931 Robert Breedlove, all on pit road doing a pass-through. This could be your race leader, Rodney Sullins. Jeremy Jeffries, Grant Wesley might be second and third, and then Chuck McClure leading that contingency of cars that came to pit road with that first group. And now they're going to get them all lined up. Here's the run. Rodney Sullins stays to the middle as McClure dives to the bottom with help from Brian Schilling. Saw Jeff Crivello turned around the wrong direction at the entry of pit road as he made his way down pit lane. He's gone to the garage area. He'll get credited for 35th place here tonight.
Richard Martin also coming down again a second time.
And it looks like Rodney Sullins also got pegged for speeding. So, boy, that's what, at least a half dozen drivers on this money stop that have gotten hit by the speeding police?
Yes, that actually it has.
Watch the 38 of Rodney Sullins. He'll be stepping out of line here in a moment to come down pit road. Tough break there for him. Chuck McClure out in front. Schilling in second. Nofsker third. Metallic fourth. Jeffries in fifth. As we're coming around to complete lap 59, we're getting closer to that point of the race we dubbed the point of no return. We have several lap machines, so once they get to the start of lap 62, completion of lap 61, the next flag is going to end the race. And I believe last time by, scoring showed us 15 drivers in this lead pack with a shot at winning. Glenn Harris is trying to latch onto this group in 16th, but I think he's too far back. And now Ken Roberts from the 7th position, now on the inside line. Jeremy Jeffries will move down there. McClure sees the run coming. He's going to move down to the bottom as well. Now drivers shift from bottom up to top. How about all the way to the very top? That's Ken Roberts with Kelly Causey.
We could have a three car train on the inside outside.
Yep. Now add a fourth to the top, a fourth to the bottom. Well, now a fourth from the top to the middle. Roberts going to edge ahead going into 3, but where's the momentum going to be? The moniker tonight seems to be go where they ain't, because a lot of drivers not wanting to work with each other when they've got that momentum, got that run. They want to take it somewhere. This time by, we'll cross the line, complete the 61st lap. Next flag's going to end the race, so we'll give the usual disclaimer. Under the point of no return, we'll stay up here at the front. If the caution comes out, we watch the race back to the start-finish line, because that's the proverbial checkers, and we'll go back and look at any necessary replays under the final pacing laps or post-race, as Chuck McClure has got a rearview mirror full of Jeremy Jeffries, who now moves up in front of Brian Schilling for the lead. Grant Wesley looked like he wanted to go up there. He'll stay in line behind the 17.
See, Will's going to see which line is preferred here.
Take a look at some of the drivers we've got up here looking for their first career wins in the Talladega Challenge Series. Ulysses Sandoval, Denny Carroll, Doug Hulick, all up here in this conversation.
All it's going to take is somebody to go 3 wide, and that's going to kill the momentum.
And who's going to be that person? I mean, probably nobody up in the first 2-3 rows. It's going to probably have to happen outside of the top 10. Maybe back around where those 2 yellow cars are of Kelly Causey and Jeffrey Elliott. We saw last week when Grant Wesley made the move for the win, it was on the white flag lap, but he had to decide when the time was to make the move. How long could he wait? Same deal here tonight. You could end up having a caution come out as the field's coming off of turn 4 and no time to be able to make a move. Do you wait till the white flag, or do you have to go now? As Jeffries, with help from Schilling in the middle line, he is clear for the race lead through the tri-oval, coming to 3 to go.
This inside lane has to pinch the outside lane. They've got to be able to run the line right on that white line. They've got to be right on that dotted line, but they turn too far into the corner and they're stuck on the inside and they lose their momentum. They've got to move up just a little bit.
We've seen them do it before at
Could the drafting
Talladega.
help? Could the drafting help of these lap cars help that inside lane? And here comes the third.
That's going to be Ken Roberts up to the top. Kelly Causey as well. This is not going to be helpful for that middle line, and Jeremy Jeffries knows it. He's going to bail down to the bottom in front of Chuck McClure. Now does McClure try and jump up to that middle line? It's kind of stalled out with only 3 cars. There's only 3 cars up in that third lane as well. McClure is clear for second. Wesley's clear for third. 2 laps to go at BSR. Talked about those lap cars. There they are. A trio of them. They will probably be caught before this race is over.
Who can use them as a pick? That's the question.
You're Jeffrey Elliott. I think right now that yellow line's your best friend. I don't think you're coming off of it. I think if anybody's going to make the pass on you, you're making them go the long way around the racetrack.
Did you say Jeffrey Elliott, by the way? I'm pretty sure you meant to say Jeremy Jeffries.
I did mean to say Jeremy Jeffries. If I said Jeffrey Elliott, that was my mistake. Coming around, they will receive the white flag. So for the second straight week, we will finish this race in regulation, at least under white flag conditions.
Oh.
That was just barely enough room for Denny Carroll to fit down there between Hewlick and Greg Lovell. Here comes Ulysses Sandoval. Whoop. Grant Wesley moving up. McClure moving up. Oh, they're all by themselves on the bottom. Only 2 cars pinned to the inside line. Here comes Grant Wesley with a head of steam. Brian Schilling leading that third line. Do they have enough time to make something happen? Off of 4. Slow cars. The lap cars are going to be in the way. They're going to offer drafting help. Sandoval trying to get to the outside of Wesley. Drag race to the line.
Wesley got it.
Barely gets it. Look at them, 3 and 4 wide here after they cross the start-finish line. They were 3 wide with the slower machines up ahead. It was a matter of who was going to be able to get the toe off of those cars that was going to win that photo finish. And Grant Wesley, Grant, who ended up last week, I'm going to have to look and see what the interval was. I think last week it was 300ths. Here tonight, he's going to edge out Sandoval by 800ths. He gets that 1 position better, goes to victory lane for the first time here in season 64, and locks himself into the playoffs. The 3-time champion who last season, mostly due to the fact of having to take a break due to work, was not in the battle for the championship and had one of the best home stretches at the close of the season as he's getting ready to do some burnouts here at the start-finish line. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be talking with our podium finishers in our FRN post-race wind-down. Wesley with the win. Sandoval brought it home second, and Doug Hewlick is going to complete the podium here this evening as Grant Wesley disappears into the cloud of smoke on the front straightaway, celebrating his first win of season 64.
We get to talk to Ulysses Sandoval. That ought to be a fun interview.
Last week it was the 088 that went to victory lane. Tonight, it's the 88. And let's go back, Michael, to the fact that Grant ran out of fuel under pacing. He lost the lead pack because he spent so long crawling to his pit stall, completely dry in the fuel tank, caught the yellow he needed, and here about, 30 laps later, he's the one that's going to victory lane.
Oh, yeah.
That moniker, Never Give Up.
Okay, John Cena.
Grant Wesley into his pit box. to celebrate with his team. Let's now head into our FRN post-race wind down. Actually, before we do that, let's show you the finishing results. That might be a good idea.
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah. Gave you your top three. Brian Shelley going to bring it home. Back-to-back top fives for him in fourth. Denny Carroll, after starting on the pole position, is going to finish in the top five and fifth. Nofsker, 1 week removed from his win. He'll finish sixth, seventh for Josh Metallic. Jeremy Jeffries will finish in eighth. Ken Roberts ninth, and Chuck McClure in the 10th position. Remember, coming to the white flag in the final lap, Jeremy Jeffries and Chuck McClure were first and second, and they just barely finished in the top 10. Causey will bring home 11th, Pagley in 12th, Jeffrey Elliott 13th with Greg Lovell, Joe DeSpirito in 14th and 15th. Bob Seminara was 16th, 17th for Glenn Harris, Craig Hagley, Ron Hagelin, Mike Mangialardi, your top 20. Bob Dixon was 21st, Dunn LaPrade 22nd, Bernie Mobbs in 23rd. I believe from 23rd on down were drivers that either had mistakes on pit road or were hit with speeding penalties. Rodney Sullins 24th. 25th was Keith Bynum. 26th, Terry Bombard. Billy Elliser, Donnie Garrett, Bobby Farrell, and Greg Palmer were the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. Brian Rawson, Richard Martin, Robert Breedlove, Cy Jones, all -1. And 6 drivers did not reach the conclusion tonight. Jeff Crivello, John Godfrey, Nate Balser, Jason Scheck, Jessica Shelton, and for one final time tonight, Michael, Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
That's a look at how they finish here tonight. How will that shake up the point standings, especially around that 12th and standings cut line? We will find out next week. We know, though, that Nofsker and Wesley have made postseason preparations with their wins in these past 2 weeks. And now we can head into our FRN post-race wind down and talk with some of our podium finishers here this evening. Let's see if we can kick things off with the driver that brings it home in the 3rd position in that number 23 car. Let's see if we can get a hold of Doug Hewlick.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey, Doug, Michael and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
I don't think so.
Give it one more try here. Doug, guys up here in the FRN booth, you got a copy?
Oh, I see his mic lighting up, but I don't see it, but I don't hear him talking.
Yep, same here.
I gotcha.
Hey,
Oh,
there we go.
Blinky,
Doug.
blinky light, Gotta watch out for that.
Man, great finish for you here this evening, bringing it home on the podium. But let's talk about that particular portion of the race that really put you up in that position. The timing of that yellow right in the middle of green flag pit stops. You and about another half dozen drivers elect to come to pit road just a lap or two sooner than the rest of the main pack. Caution comes out. You guys had already made the pit stop. You cycled around to the lead because you were on the lead lap. I mean, did you expect things to work out like that? Was that the call when you made that early dive onto pit lane, or was it just happenstance that worked out in your favor?
Well, when the tank says it's time to fill up, I gotta go in. So it was due to go in. It was happenstance, but hey, sometimes happenstance happens.
Absolutely. Well, last week, you ended up finishing outside of the top 20. Here tonight, great points paying event for you. Obviously going to move you up leaps and bounds in the point standings. We talked about last week, seems like a lot of times drivers will have the mentality of bring home the steering wheel or bring home the trophy, and then kind of step back after that race is over and figure out where you're at and what your plan is for the rest of the season. Was that the case here tonight? Did you already have a goal in mind of where you wanted to have this car finish?
Well, once I came out and Grant did his little trick to pit. That's a great story, by the way. Can't wait to hear that one live. I'm not even going to tell you what happened. But once I came out first, I was like, oh, this is different, because running in a pack and running first are totally different things. And I'm like, okay, there's one person behind me, and it's just like, you're just driving, and it's kind of crazy feeling when you're up front. I don't get a lot of upfront time, especially 9 laps, but I enjoyed every lap of it.
I was talking about here tonight, it kind of seemed like there was a different energy, a different intensity at this particular racetrack. A lot of times we'll see that second line will get some momentum. The third line will get some momentum. They'll kind of stall out as they're three wide racing. But here tonight, it almost looked like drivers are able to keep that momentum going at certain points, especially there on that final lap. I mean, three wide, about 3 rows deep, heading into turn 3 for that race win. Anything you could have done to be able to try and get in that conversation for the win, or were you kind of boxed in, committed to pushing whoever was in your line?
Well, I'm a driver for Team Wrecking Ball, all my guys out there. And Ulysses, I was pushing him, trying to stay with him. So we were chatting along and trying to get it all figured out. And just kind of pleased that it ended up pushing to third. I was a little concerned with those 3-lap cars in front of us, but that's where they were.
Definitely made things interesting for sure through the trial coming to the start finish line. Well, congratulations, Doug, on the job well done here tonight. Strategy call working out in your favor. Gave you that track position and you never lost it. You kept it for the remainder of the second half of the race. Bring it home with a solid third place finish. Going to be a great points night for you. Going to be very interested to see where this positions you in preparation for next week's third race when we head back to Talladega. But before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Shout out to Rodney for being a new admin here at Thursday Night Tally Rally and painting my car. I always forget to seem to throw out the painter, but appreciate everything he does for everybody. He paints a lot of cars. Shout out to my family, my wife, my son up in North Dakota, my daughter out in Oklahoma, brothers and sisters, my brother Ray running Afterburner, having fun there. Just a joy to be out here. Thanks for all the admins doing what they do. Josh, Jeremy, all the boys. Appreciate you guys too.
Well, Doug Gulick brings it home with a solid third place here this evening under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. He'll look to keep this momentum going next week when we head back to the high banks of Talladega Super Speedway. Best of luck there. Congrats on the great run here tonight, Doug.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Let's see if we
User
can
was
now
moved
get
out
a
of your
hold of the
channel.
driver that brought it home in the second position. Just 0.08 of a second short of his first career win. Let's dial up Ulysses Sandoval.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey, Ulysses, Michael and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got a copy?
What's up?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. So close. You could taste that checkered flag
Sir,
there
I'm
through
gonna have
the
to ask you to calm
tri-oval.
down, please.
Man's got the adrenaline rush going on. I don't blame him. I mean, man, going up against one of the best in the business in Grant Wesley, you got to his right recorder panel. You had the teammate in Hewlett behind you. What little more do you need to be able to edge him out? Because you even had those tail end of the lap cars just in front of you to be able to give you a little bit of a tow.
Well, I didn't know that there were lap cars coming up. I was so concentrated, so focused on what was going on with me that I ignored the fact that there were lap down cars coming. But oh boy, I'm still so nervous about what just happened. I was so close. I could taste the checker flag. It was right in front of my eyes, but couldn't quite get it. I wish I had a better run trying to make it when I tried to make a move on Grant, but well, it is what it is. This is where I finish, and at least happy to it that it will help me in the standings.
Definitely seemed like here tonight, especially in the closing stages of this race. I don't know if it's a difference in setup, if it's a difference in just driver mentality here tonight, but it really looked like you guys were able to generate and maintain runs. We ended up seeing that middle line be strong off a 2 on the final lap. Third lane was able to pull up alongside. Uh, what are you feeling there in the race car here this evening? Is it the driver mentality, and you guys have kind of figured out now the ins and outs of this racetrack and how you're able to make moves, taking the longer way around the racetrack?
Well, definitely this feels different than last season. Last season you had a run and you pushed somebody in the wrong place. Well, there you go. There goes the there goes the field. But right here, you could actually push in the trial or in the corners. It's light a bit, but you won't lose the control of your car. Just like in St. Joltis on Tuesday, we could push in the turns. Well, even if, well, you can actually turn somebody, but you can still give slightly push to somebody. This is the case right here. That's why all lanes can. It's unpredictable where which group is gonna be the best one there. I'm glad that I picked up the right one on that last run, and I'm going for the white flag.
Now, you said how focused you were there on that final lap, so I know that points were the furthest thing from your mind, but you didn't have the best of performances last week. Granted, you led some laps, but ended up finishing in the 26th position. Here tonight, I know you wanted that win, but it's a good points paying night. You're going to move up in the point stands as well. Might potentially, with how many points you gain, might actually move up into a playoff spot, into the top 12 in overall standings. So, what does this do for you for the remainder of this regular season as well? Because you've had two really strong performances to kick off this season. We've seen in the past a lot of drivers make their first playoff appearance. I mean, are you still looking for that victory? Are you focused on consistency? Where are you at right now as things stand after the performance tonight?
But I love I all the times all the past few seasons I've missed the chase and missed the playoffs, and sometimes I came quite a little closer in the first races of the seasons, but last season it wasn't the case. So right now I just want to worry more about points. That was actually the mentality for tonight. I wasn't like conservative. I wasn't top. I didn't top off for gas. I was just worrying about positions because I needed the spots. I'm like what 28 in points. I don't know what is how much is gonna help me this time, but I can sleep well tonight knowing that I'm guaranteed at least a good spot for the rest of the nights. I need some good. I still need to be consistent, but a top 10, top 15, I think is gonna do it. With this top five that I got right now, is gonna help me big time. Yeah, I might look for the queen, but right now I just want to make the chase. This is the main focus for right now.
I think we've found the secret formula. I think you and I need to come over here like at the very last minute, like we did here tonight. Because I don't know, maybe the adrenaline rush from the previous league racing helped you here this evening. I don't know, but Ulysses, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Going to be very interested to see where this positions you in points after the solid podium finish. Maybe we'll see you get that one position better even as early as next week. We head back to Talladega, but for now, we'll give you the opportunity for thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Well, they say that you gotta warm up to perform well. We warm up,
Absolutely.
and 2 hours ago we warmed up. We've been racing since 6 o'clock, so it definitely helped me this time, big time. All right, a big shout out to Team Wrecking Ball, my buddies from an NCRA. Big shout out to Doug Hurdick, who finished with me on top on the podium. Good luck for him. We did amazing calls together. We worked together this entire run. I gotta thank him because he was the core, the what brought me to second place. Thanks to him. Big shout out to my family, Mama Sandoval, and also Jessica. I think she wasn't feeling well and she had to leave. So yeah, hope you're feeling well, better. We're gonna support you with the Yes movement. Okay, so that should be everything said. Michael, hope to see you next time.
Absolutely. That's Ulysses Sandoval, second place here this evening at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. And indeed, as the points are in, is now up into the top 12, 11th in the standings heading into next week at Talladega Super Speedway. He'll look to solidify a playoff position as the season progresses. Best of luck next week, Ulysses. Congrats on the great run here tonight.
All right, see ya.
User was
And
moved out
let's
of your
go
channel.
down to Victory Lane, see if we can get a hold of tonight's race winner and now new points leader by just 1 point heading into next week. Let's dial up Grant Wesley.
User was moved to your channel.
Grant, Michael Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Woo! Oh my God.
All right, so we're going to talk in a little bit about the finish of this race. We got to go back to kind of the turning point of this race because we've talked about you and fuel situations in the past, but usually it's about you saving fuel, not running out of fuel. We got to go back to that caution period where you're crawling down pit road. You actually ended up missing out on the restart. What was going on there?
Okay, this is the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. And in our so okay, the way it went down, that pit stop happened under green. There was a car that was moving really slow. I wasn't able to get off the racing surface before I slowed down for my pit or for pit road. I locked him up, got hit. Obviously, the caution comes out. I had like 2 laps of fuel left at that point, or a lap and a half. Don't really remember. And of course, I got knocked back onto the track. So I just kept on going. At this point, I'm just kind of irritated about the whole situation. I felt like maybe it might get pinned on me. So I was thinking, well, I'll pit second time by. And the more I thought about it, I was like, man, I really don't know if that was mine or not. I'll stay out a third time and get that lap lead bonus just in case it's not put on me and I get that bonus point. And I wasn't even thinking about fuel. And, I was just thinking about the wreck, thinking about if I'm doing the right thing. And I'm going around there the third time around. I got my lap lead. I'm in front of the field, going into 3, and the thing just shuts off. And I forgot all about needing fuel. So I called out over the team speak. I said, yep, 88 blew up. And everyone's like, oh, man, I'm sorry. And more I thought about it, I was disgusted. I was like, how in the world did that happen? I didn't even have damage. And I looked at F3 and it said 000, and I was like, gosh dang, that's embarrassing. And luckily I was able to coast to my stall, get the fuel. I wasn't able to catch back up to the field before it went green again. So I was going to lose a lap, but the lucky break, the turning point for me was when that caution came out 10 laps later with like 25 or something to go, 29, I think.
I mean, you call it embarrassing. It's only embarrassing if you end up losing the race. You go on to win. So I guarantee you, super speedway drivers are going to be watching back that strategy and trying to maybe replicate it for months to come. But let's talk now about the finish of this race because you had to work your way back up through the field. You got the benefit of that caution, but you were out in the back. You had to cut your way up to the front. We saw here tonight. I don't know what it is, and this may just be me personally, but from the spectator point of view, visibly tonight, it really looked like you guys were able to make a lot more moves and forward progress in all the different lanes. You guys would have a run. You could shoot from the bottom to the top and pick up 3-4 positions on the straightaway. And we saw you be able to do just that coming off a turn 2 on the back straightaway on the final lap. So, with being able to kind of see what you were able to do in terms of momentum, picking a line, working your way through the field there, second half of this race, did that prepare you for being able to eventually make the move that got you the win?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The super speedway racing, man, it changes a lot. I did notice that it seemed like the mile per hour in all 3 lanes was up a little bit tonight. I don't know if yeah, I think it's the same setup. I think it was just all night long we had really good pushers at the front of each line, and it just so the speeds were up, and I apparently were able to make more moves. Yeah, they're late in the race. After that last green flag stop, I was kind of running with Rodney and Jeremy, and Rodney unfortunately was speeding, so we lost him. But I was stuck with me and Jeremy were hooked up tight together on that inside lane, and we were making it work. And yeah, unfortunately, I had to pass him there. I told him I was going to the second lane, and he chose to stay on the inside. I think he seen that third lane coming, and he thought maybe he'd have the advantage through the tri-oval on the bottom. I'm not really sure, but I'm glad it worked out for us. So I'm thrilled to get this win.
We documented about last season. Unfortunately, you missed a number of weeks, but you closed out the season with maybe one of the best momentum streaks we've seen in a long time. You get the victory here, 2 races in. You've locked yourself into the championship hunt. Now, how much of a weight off your shoulders is that? Because you had that one position short last week. You get it here this week, and now you just have to focus really on staying in the top 20 in your playoff bound. Plus, you're now in the hunt for that regular season championship.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, definitely huge. And not to mention, these fields have been massive. And we had a lot of fast guys that were in knockout queue tonight. And man, I'm just glad I don't have to deal with that. Um, but yeah, it's a big deal to get that win, to keep this momentum rolling. Yeah, so hopefully we keep it going forward.
Well, Grant, congratulations on the job well done. You made it awfully theatrical for us here tonight with being able to get just enough fuel, get to that pit box, get the right timing of the caution, be able to work your way up to the front to pick up this victory. We'll let you get back to your celebration here, but before we do, floor is yours for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank Ulysses there for the push. I seen him make that move there, coming around the white flag on the backstretch. I moved in front of him, and he seemed pretty dedicated coming off fourth. So I just want to appreciate or thank him for that, and thank Jeremy for working well with me tonight, and a few other guys that I worked with. I want to thank the owners here at RTG, David Cannon and Sean Prime, the admins Josh and Tim, and the new admin Rodney Solons. Congratulations on the new position. You're going to be a great addition here to Thursdays. I'd like to thank FRN, Seth and Mike for doing the broadcast, taking time out for us. We all appreciate it. I'd like to thank my teammates with XFM, my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend Brittany.
Grant Wesley, he'll be in the playoffs battling for the championship here in season 64 after he takes the checkered flag tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations on the job well done. Don't run out of fuel next week at Talladega, and best of luck there.
We'll try not to. Thanks.
Grant Wesley
User
goes
was
to
moved out of your
Victory
channel.
Lane. He and Tim Nofsker via Victories will be playoff racing. Number of drivers tonight moved into the top 12. Number of drivers moved out of the top 12. But Michael, I want to focus just on one thing here, because super speedway racing, everybody says it's unpredictable, but it always seems to, I don't know, it always seems like things happen full circle. Because when Grant was talking about the fact that he was irritated with the incident that happened with coming to pit road and everything, guess who the incident was with?
Who?
Ulysses Sandoval, and they finished first and second.
Right? For real.
Like, I don't know how super speedway racing manages to do that, but it seems like all of these ironic storylines tend to happen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and it always goes to the moniker, you can never count anybody out. I mean, Grant, at that point in time, if we had gone green to the end, he was down and out. There was no way he was even going to finish up inside of the top 20. But you catch the caution at the right time, you keep yourself on the lead lap, you know what you're doing in super speedway racing, and you still got a shot at this thing. And, these past couple of weeks, even going back to the Tim Nofsker race, I mean, these drivers, a lot of drivers that have had a first half of the race go absolutely horrible, have been able to put together a solid second half of the race and mount some good comebacks. Maybe that's the theme we're looking at here for season 64.
Yeah, possibly. We're going to end up seeing it here soon, Seth. So just going to have to keep watching to see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, next week, does another driver add their name to the list of those that are already locked into battling for the championship here in season 64? Also, I don't believe it's next week, but I could be wrong. We are getting close to the bracket challenge beginning. Drivers that are in positions, I believe it is 1 through 32 in the point standings, they'll be put into a tournament type bracket, and there will be a champion crowned at the end of that season. Jessica Shelton, defending champion of that. Also, as a broadcast colleague of ours, we want to wish her well. As we were pointed out to by Ulysses, she's not feeling well tonight. That's why she ended up having the early retirement for the race. So hope she is feeling better and will be back on the track in full health next week. But until then, Michael, great race here tonight. Wild finish, another photo finish here this evening. So far, back-to-back races where the win has been within less than a second, and side-by-side racing to that start finish line. Just hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Appreciate you joining me up in the booth for this one here tonight.
Absolutely. It was fun. Can't wait for next week.
Thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next week at Talladega Super Speedway, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The green flag will fly as we continue on the 64th season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. But for Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, folks. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.